Hello and welcome to Hipther Agency's webinar, Machine Learning versus Medicine, Big Data and Small Progress. We're going to talk about the ever-growing involvement of artificial intelligence in the medical process and go through the updates and the current state of machine learning in the healthcare field and give an overview of the most interesting and fast-developing fields. Our guest, Anna Solovyova, will share her expert opinion about the factors that hold the technology in the theoretical space and are holding back its use in the practical reality. Let me continue with introducing our guest speaker today. Mrs. Anna Solovyova is founder of Palace and Audrey projects. Anna was always interested in applying machine learning technology to the current problems in the medical field, and now she's running two projects aimed to help both doctors and patients all around the globe. A very interesting topic, especially in the COVID times. My name is Jaka Repanšek. I'm a legal and business consultant specialized in telecom, internet, media, and entertainment industries and the partner at Hipther Agency. Anna, welcome and thank you for being with us today.
Hi, Jaka. Thank you for having me today. I'm happy to talk with you, and I hope to share all my opinions and insights that I have gained.
Okay, thank you so much, Anna. Let me start with the first question. Anna, tell us please a little bit about your path to machine learning. How did you come to become interested in this field, and what have you learned so far? Why is it such a vibrant and hot topic these days?
Okay, great question. It's always like a funny thing to remember the start of your journey and how you came to this path and why. So I started 6 years ago. I started my path in IT field, and I started like a founder of a small team. Machine learning projects, just like software development for the platforms and so on. But in a few years, I saw like an increasing tendency and trend in machine learning, and it was very interesting for me to get deeper to understand why this field is so rapidly growing, why so many great people working in this field, and what they want to achieve. And then it's from the one side, it was my tech background, and from the other side, it was my passion to make something very interesting and very important for the people. So that's why I decided to combine my skills in tech field with my passion for the healthcare field, for making something good. And that's why I came to this area, like machine learning in healthcare. I think it's a very young but rapidly growing field, and I hope that within a few years we will see a big progress in this field.
All right, thank you so much, Anna. But tell us a little bit more about your projects, Palace, Audrey projects. What are you working on now? And before you continue with your answer, I'd like to invite all of you who are listening to us to post your questions for Anna in the chat section of our webinar, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. So Anna, tell us a little bit more about your work.
Okay, yeah, with a pleasure. So as you mentioned, now I'm working on two core projects. One of them is Audrey project. This is my like a lovely little kid. So we started about 3 years ago, building to detect stress with the children. So I believe that early diagnosing of the autism spectrum disorder is very important to get a kind of very useful therapy and treatment for these children. And that's why we try to make a remote tool using which parents will be able to diagnose their children just on the go, just using the tablet without need to go to the practical specialists spending their times in the cabinet and so on. This is very stressful for children. And that's why we're building this platform. I hope that within a half of a year, it will be available for the public using. And I hope that it will help a lot of families to overcome this difficult times with their children with the ISD. The other project called Palace is the project we try to connect and combine machine learning with the trauma specialists. So it's like the huge, massive overload of the work for the practical specialists in the trauma field. So they need to scan a lot of the radiographs to make the diagnosis. And this is like in the real time, not a lot of time to do this. And combining with the human beings, it's resulted in a lot of cases where the diagnosis is not so correct, not precise correct. And then, of course, this is like the health of the people. And when the diagnosis is not so correct, it can be like the false treatment, and it can lead to the not very good treatment process and not very good results for the patients. And that's why we try to make the algorithm system radiographs and make the diagnosis on the go with more precise results.
That's great. Now tell us a little bit about, are you sponsored by any organization? Is that a big system behind you, or you make your projects on your own through your knowledge and development?
So as for now, this is just our initiative. So I gather the two groups of the interested developers who also want to make something valuable, something important for the people, and that's why we paid a lot of our time on the weekends or on the evenings to these projects. It's like the sides projects. But I think that on the early stage, it's very important for these healthcare projects to stay without some kind of the funding, to be free enough to means that you need to build all this company. And when you make it on your own, you can be more free in your decisions, in your vision of this project, and maybe get deeper on the results in this area.
Anna, we are living in very interesting COVID times. Now, how has that affected your work? I mean, I know there's a lot of new challenges out there, and I'm pretty sure machine learning and artificial intelligence will be very important factors in the long run. But how has your life and your work, you're based in Germany, changed because of the COVID-19 times?
Okay, it's a question, but you know, I'm my life and our team's life hasn't changed dramatically during the COVID time, mainly because I'm a young. I was on vacation. I was working during this time, and now I feel like all my teams, we're working together on the same regime, on the same schedule, on the remote basis. And I think that this is not so bad working in new conditions when you need to be more estimated person, more self-reliable person to understand what you should done and when you should done, not like working from 8 to 5 p.m. This is something new, but I think that it's very important for people to understand that they need to make something valuable, not just sit on the place in the office, but making something great. And you can make it remote. This is not so difficult. And I think that is maybe like the positive side from the COVID, that the people need.
All right. Anna, let's tackle our topic more directly. What are the main challenges in the field of machine learning and medicine, artificial intelligence and medicine so far? What do you see as the main challenges for us?
So the main challenges that I see so far they can be divided into two groups of the stakeholders according to machine learning in healthcare. And unfortunately, for all these two groups, main two groups, we have a lot of challenges. So from the one side, we see a lot of challenges from the doctors, from the practical specialists. These challenges is connected to the issue that doctors can precise of machine learning in helping them. So there are often overwhelming amount of information about the stuff that machine learning, that algorithm can replace specialists and can replace doctors. I think that it's like absurd, and it has not common ground on the kind of artificial intelligence or machine learning project that exist right now. And I think to overcome this problem, we need to make doctors understand that this is like only the supportive systems. They can't replace specialists. They can support them in their decisions, make this decision more easy, and maybe help to overcome overload or something else, but not replace them. And people who think that mainly in the healthcare system or in the hospital, for example. So we need to make this issue more clear for the practical specialist. From the other side, of course, we see like the strong neglect of this field from the patients. So they don't understand. For example, they also can think that in 2 years or 5 years, they will come to the visit for the doctor, and they will see like the robots sitting on the chair with no emotions, with no empathy or something else. And this robot, this machine learning system will diagnose everything, will make like the print report, and so go on, this is your print report, and this is all. And patients, they don't understand, they scare about algorithm. Connected with different patients group, different people group, and they during these experiments, people tried to reject all the connection with the machine learning when talking about the healthcare or making some kind of the life-changing decisions. So in this, when you touch in this field, when you're trying to speak about the importance of the health or something else or some personal issues, for us personally, this is more easy to speak with the person, to feel the empathy, to feel the warmth of the person. And that's why this make like a huge problem as for now, because people also don't understand to which degree machine learning can be implemented in the healthcare, and patients afraid of the challenges. But I hope that within a few years the situation will change, maybe because of the more background, scientific background for this field, maybe conducting some lectures with a practical specialist, and maybe through the media, talking to people and making them understand that this is not so scary, and you will interact with a doctor. But in this case, when the doctor will use machine learning supportive system, the doctor will have more time, and he will be able to speak with you, not just typing something like doctors making right now, because they have not a lot of time. And they need just to type everything, to make the decisions in their heads, diagnosing. And we will have not so many challenges in implementing ML decisions.
Okay, Anna, thank you so much. We have first question from the audience. Elena is asking you the following one. Do you think that once programs such as yours are endorsed by big pharmaceutical companies, there should be a lack of ethics and be replaced by more of a profit drive. Now, we will talk about ethics in machine learning and artificial intelligence a bit later, but this is a very direct question, considering the big pharmaceuticals coming behind your projects and going a little bit too much, maybe for some people, into the profit drive.
Yeah, this is like the issue that connected with all the kind, not only ML programs, but all the and of course big pharma and any other companies that can be and funds that can be interested in using this data. They can potentially drive the profit side of this project, and that's why I think that of course it maybe need to be some kind of the burden between the ML projects in healthcare and these companies, and this is like not concerning the question of the ethics. This be like very strict regulated area, and this project may need to be very strictly regulated, and must be also in every stage of the development project. So, like connected with this issue, there is this issue about the using different ML solution in different clinics, and every of the clinics has some kind of the connection with the pharmaceutical companies or with some kind of the funds or something else, and they potentially can use this data even without machine learning projects. So this is like the situation without the strict regulation that can be done nothing. But from my experience working with these companies, with my project and with different companies that working in the healthcare field, all of them, as for now, maybe because we're young and because we wanted to make something good, all of them entering in this field with the idea to help people. So maybe in the future it will be some cases of for the negative using of this project for the big pharma, but I hope that it won't be.
All right, but let's tackle the ethical issue a little bit here. I mean, whoever has worked with artificial intelligence, machine learning, you know, the big topic today in European Union, for example, is the ethical part of it. So how important is that when you integrate those issues, those questions into your development of your projects? I mean, people are afraid. This ethical moment is very important. How do you see it, and how do you see the development of ethics in your work?
Yeah, so I think that on the first stage, just entering the healthcare field, people who enter in this field need to understand this is like a very, very difficult question about the ethics in artificial intelligence, mainly because there's also no regulation background. And for now, I see like a lot of companies, they trying to make their good, but they don't understand where's the borders that they can't go out of. And that's why they pay a lot of attention to different ethic questions. They try to develop them. They try to save the personal data. They try to make the algorithm reliable enough. They try to test it. But then they came to the real life, and they understand that this is not like something making in the laboratory. Is a different field, has its own like the little regulatory policy, and every company should make their products within this politics of the clinics, and it's like a very difficult question to make this. And then you have to do with the ethics of AI, and like in the Asimov's laws of the robotics, you need to make these solutions, making for the good for the people from the one side. But from the other side, you need to understand that the current development of the machine learning field can't make machine learning algorithm working with a 100% like, I think that maybe concerning the issue, the ethics of the machine learning, it's very important for also for the practical specialists and for people who working within the machine learning fields. When they some products for the healthcare field, they need to mention that this is like only a supportive system. And the final word is for the practical specialist. Practical specialist should take into account the answers that give the supportive system some suggestions. But practical specialists need also to rethink this information, maybe make this diagnosis according to the computer-aided system, or maybe additions of the patient and so on. Because for now, as I said, there is no case when we can say 100% sure that this machine learning system working good enough to be like autonomy tool for the healthcare. And this should be mentioned on all the products of the ML in the healthcare field. In the other cases where it's not mentioned, we can have a lot of cases when machine learning has not so good results, not so precise diagnostic or something else. And if people will be struggling during this not so good results of the ML, this will be a huge drawback in the ethic of the machine learning.
All right, now, Anna, thank you so much. What fields of healthcare have already sensed the positive changes due to machine learning technology? What specific fields of healthcare can you point out?
So as for now, the trend that I see that, of course, during the COVID time, a lot of startups, a lot of teams working to make also all the issues connected with the radiographs, with the X-rays, with the CT scans and so on, making the tools for enhancing the practical specialist and making the decision and so on. So I can't say that, for example, this field is already have some kind of a huge increase in the capacity or huge increase in the amount of the practical specialists who using these tools, mainly because unfortunately, as our webinar called today, so it's a big data and small results, because a lot of the projects are this project and making some kind of the first stage proof of concept, everything works good. But then when getting into the practical side, when getting into the hospitals, it can be not so good, not so smooth. And I know just a few companies who have already implemented their solution from the theoretical side to the practical side in the clinics. It's like mainly something very great, something not so oft in this field. And but there are some other fields that came not from the healthcare, rather from the other companies, for example, the supplement chains and so on. This it can be for the machine learning in healthcare, because taking this type of the machine learning, we not connected them to the patients. This is like making the logistic more easy, enhancing the delivery time or something else. This, of course, this make the work of the hospitals, of the clinics more smoothly and more effective. So it must be, it's a great case, but this is not like the clear use case of the machine learning in healthcare. But this project, they run pretty good, even they're making some kind of the more efficient workload of the doctors or something else that now another project in the clinics, we can gain more data and we can enhance this algorithm, and thus we have a better results. And that's why this is like the types of the project that already exist. Of course, oncology also a great a few years ago they started the new wave of the using machine learning to detect early detect oncology, and we see a great results. But also these results mainly, as for now, on the theoretical space, but not on the practical, because to get the practical, we need to get to the clinics, we need to get the regulatory approval of this solution, implement, get the first results, see this positive results, I hope the positive results, and then use this data to enhance this algorithm. And I hope that in a few years it will be quite strong, I hope.
Okay, Anna, thank you so much. Andreas is asking you a question. Could you give us a glimpse into how an artificial intelligence project is actually developed, of course, in your field, and what are the key elements of setting it up?
Okay, so from my perspective about how an AI project is actually developed. So as I said, the core base of every kind of the AI project, but AI like the artificial intelligence, this is something not achievable as for now, and that's why I try to call this project a machine learning project.
Of course.
But yeah, so machine learning project started with gaining the data. Not such project, because to gain system we have to gain data, and in the healthcare field, when we need to get a precise good result, so we can, for example, when we're talking about the 50% of the chances that the algorithm make the correct diagnosis, this is of course not enough, because this is just a game of probability. And to get this something that we can potentially implement in the clinic, I think that we can start from the 80%. So this is like a very good result. And to gain this result, we need, talking about the radiographs, for example, we need 10,000 of radiographs, labeled radiographs, because when you have this data, the next step, you need to label this data. Because in the health and I mean that on the regulatory basis, you can describe exactly how this algorithm works and why it made this prediction. That's why we need to use also only supervised learning as for now. Maybe in a few years the situation will change, but as for now it's like the supervised learning. And to make the supervised learning the most effective, we need to label all this data. So as for now, we have found, for example, the data. Then we labeled this data with the practical specialist. For example, we labeled some zones with some areas with a fracture, or some areas of the abnormality, like the oncology or something else. And then, of course, developers need to, I think that for now, them just take available pieces of code from the GitHub, thanks to open source community. In GitHub, we have a lot of already developed solutions that are easy to use, just to download this code and make it work with this code, make it working. And then we make our algorithm learning on this data. The first results, making it learning again, and again, testing it, making some kind of the first screening, see how precise these results are, and then trying to like this is the educational sets, validation sets, and test sets of the data, and then we try to examine our algorithm result 80% correct. We try to examine it on the real life cases, because in real life we can get not so good colored radiographs, or for example not so clear or something else. So we need to test them in the real life, see the result, and when the result is good enough, then I think that the also the most crucial step is to go to the clinics to show this result. And if you will have some positive drawbacks, for example, the clinics are interested in this solution, the next step you have to get to the in Europe or in America, you have to go to the regulatory offices. It's like you need to solution, how you use it, why you get these results, and then if you have approval, you make it work in the clinic. So it's like from development
Okay.
of ML projects.
Anna, big data is very, very, very much connected to privacy, and GDPR is something we have in European Union. I'm pretty sure that you cannot implement any machine learning or even artificial intelligence once we come to that. It was a really good point that you made, being humble to call it machine learning, because most people would call it artificial intelligence. I really like this. This is the next step. But anyway, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and big data are very much data-driven, privacy-driven, privacy-sensitive fields. How are you tackling these issues with ever-growing restrictions in European Union when it comes to our privacy? Is this a big part of your challenge?
It's the most bigger part of our challenge, because it's always difficult to get into regulatory basis and to make your product work within the limits of this system, with these limits of this regulatory basis. But talking about machine learning, the issue is that there is no regulatory basis as for now. For example, you don't understand exactly to which degree your product should apply to different laws or different so it's like there is a kind of the prospects, a kind of the directives about the software in the healthcare field, software, not the machine learning, but just solutions. They have some common ground. They made by the code. But when you're creating the platform for making the I don't know, workflow of the patients, like this is the software. It's the supportive, also the supportive tool for the clinic or something else, but it's not connected with the diagnosis, with the real cases of the human. And machine learning is connected with the lives of the people. So when, for example, you try to implement your project and try to get into the regulatory issues, you're reading about the software requirements for the healthcare field, and you try to make your machine learning within these limits of software. And then you're applying it to the regulatory basis. and you understand that there is a lot of other issues that always appear on the stage of making this regulatory issues available for the machine learning. For example, as I said about the supervised and unsupervised learning, about the different kinds of types of the development process that was implemented during the development stage. So there's different kinds of the I don't know how to say it. Not the in the development. There is different cases. For example, when you have application, when you can make this to edit diagnosis system and you implement it, and you have to get into the regulatory basis and make it available for the regulatory basis only one time. And if you will change your architecture, you don't need to make this reinventing this regulatory basis one more time. But if you will have, for example, if you will have some other architecture with a small difficult, with a small other architecture or something else, and you will change it. And as you know, in all of the development projects, the changes of the architecture, or maybe the changes of the this algorithm happen. I think that often happen about once. Once on all these regulatory issues, and you have to contact your policy fund or something else and make it working again. So this is very, very difficult to understand which type of the development process you should use from the scratch, because when you haven't used the right one, then you have a lot of issues on the regulatory basis then. And also, of course, it's it's very, very difficult to understand all the requirements. So you need to pay a lot of attention, read all the recommendations from the European Union associations or from the FDA in America, and understand how far you can achieve all these requirements. And maybe it's like the crucial question you need to get into before you will develop something, to understand why and how far you can protect the data, because of course in European Union this is like the main question about the lack of the personal data, because there's no opinion that you can count all the data within the only within the clinics. You need to make happen, and you need to use some kind of the cloud solutions. And making this happen, you understand that these cloud solutions will use the data on the remote basis. So you need to send the patient's data on the cloud and use this cloud, and you don't know exactly if something can happen, and this lack of the personal data will be like the kill and shoot for your product.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of sources in the internet. You just sit and you just reading, maybe asking some questions on the forums or in the companies who have already achieved this and gave this regulatory basis, and maybe making your own vision on this field.
Thank you, Anna. Now we are slowly coming to the end of our 45 minutes, so I have two more questions for you. First, can you list a few companies that already achieved good clinical results using new technologies we're talking about, just for us to get a general idea of who are the market leaders here?
Mm-hmm. So this is like the situation with other companies in the tech field. So companies, like giant companies like the big fives, they have more use the data to make this precise and more reliable. And of course, talking about the companies that already have achieved some good results. This is Google with their health project, and also IBM. So they already have achieved not only theoretical, but practical results. And also talking about these huge companies, the main thing is that they already have developed a computer vision algorithm, not on the healthcare field, but within some other fields. And they have already good trained models that can be used. And that's why for them, implemented these models in the healthcare field is not so difficult as, for example, for the startup, for the small company who only entering this field and who trying to achieve they also make some progress, but as I said, it's like a more theoretical one or more like on the local field. So for example, also this is issue connected with a mail project in the healthcare field. As I said, every clinics has its own policies, and it has some kind of the different types of the radiographs or something else when talking about geographic or something else. So it's not available as for now, creating the algorithm that will be available to show a good results in Germany and in India, because this is like the different planets, different type of radiographs, talking about the radiology, for example, different kinds of the for local clinics and implement it. And all the companies that I see in this field, that they have already made some results, not talking about the giant companies, but talking about startups, they have already some kind of the contracts with the local clinics, and they try to implement the solution within this local clinics, and they try to see some results to enhance the algorithm with the additional data, and then like on the next step, using more clinics with this localization, maybe within this country, and then making within the European Union or something else to make it like the steadily growth of the algorithm from one clinic to other, to 3 clinics, to 5 clinics, and then to whole region, and then maybe to the whole world, because this starting the project, you need to understand that you have to have this data, and this data is very personalized, and nobody want to give you this data. Maybe now, according to the COVID, maybe it's also like the positive impact of these dark times, that a lot of the data of the lung radiographs is available right now, and people can use it and can enhance the algorithm. The developers community is sharing these radiographs and so on. So this is like the positive impact. And for small companies, it's not available as for now, talking about the other kinds of the images from the healthcare. And that's why they make this progress, but not so big, as I said, Google and IBM.
All right. Anna, one last question. We are now in the midst of a fight or a marathon or a sprint. Which country will develop the vaccine for COVID-19 first? But let's go to our field of machine learning in medicine. Which is United States here the leading power in the world? Is it European Union? Is it China? And which of those regions that I mentioned or country that I mentioned now do you see as the potential leaders in development of artificial intelligence, machine learning in medicine, or all of them, as I mentioned?
So for me, it's very difficult to divide the healthcare field on the geographic location. For example, I know about this trending Twitter war between the America and China about their artificial intelligence or machine learning algorithm. So I think that in regarding to this issue, we need to combine our forces. so many make some kind of the progress, but we need to understand, talking about the great question that Elena sent us. This is not the issue about the money. It's not the issue about the profit. This is issue about helping people. And when you see like the other company from the China or from the America or from the Europe, they have made some progress. You can learn from this progress. You can learn from the approach that they use. Maybe you try to use this approach on your solution and make it better. I see a lot of interesting ideas, scientific ideas in America and in China and in Europe. I think that maybe in America it's a little bit more easy because this entrepreneur spirit, this make it work for the people, and maybe it will be implemented faster. But as for now, I know that China also opened a lot of their funding programs, and they also wanted to use machine learning solutions in the real life. So maybe this war of machine learning will make other countries more open to these solutions and allow startups to implement their ideas, to test them, not harming the health of the patients, but like only testing in some kind of the testing surround or something else, and implement the solutions. And I think that it will be the best result of machine learning wars between different countries.
Anna Solovjova, thank you so much. With this concluding words, it's not about money, it's about health. It's about combining our knowledge in this ever-growing and exciting field. Thank you so much. I think a virtual applause to Anna is well-deserved from all around the world where they were listening to you today. Thank you so much for being with us. We have come to the end of our webinar. Anna, thank you, and hope to talk to you soon again, and all the best with your work in the future. Thank you, Anna, and goodbye to everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.